Kia ora team, I'm Coach Ray. I'm a triathlon and marathon running coach who specialises in coaching beginner and recreational athletes to achieve their sporting as well as their health and fitness goals. In today's short video, I'm going to take you through the course and some pacing strategies for the Christchurch Marathon tomorrow. This video is perfect for anyone running the Christchurch Half Marathon. I'm going to cover off some course insights, some pacing advice, and some performance tips so you can maximize your event tomorrow. So let's have a quick overview of the course. Starts over here on Rolleston, and let me refer to my notes because there's a lot of turns and I'm not going to go through every single one of them. So you're going to head south on Rolleston, follow Cambridge Terrace around, and then eventually getting onto Colombo, heading up there, turning left onto Kilmore, down around Cranmore Square in a clockwise direction, and back along Kilmore through to the first aid station. Carry on down Kilmore, looping around the cycle path onto Barbados, following that south, and then doing a U-turn, looping back round onto Peterborough and the second aid station. Follow this down and then up on Park Terrace onto Harper Ave and then looping around Hagley Park. The third aid station, or the final one for the lap, is at the western end of Hagley Park, cutting back through past the finish line, back past the start line, back onto Rolleston, and then you'll find the fourth aid station. This one won't be ready to go for the first lap, only the second lap. So it's a flat course, it's a fast course, it's a great course to achieve your goals on. 2 laps to be completed, 7 aid stations in total. 3 on the first lap, then the first aid station on the second lap is the fourth one, and then the 3 that you've already been past. Key area to be aware of here is this U-turn on Barbados Street. General strategy for the course is consistent effort throughout. Start with a conservative start, build your pace through the event, and then finish strong. I often advise my athletes that I coach to use I call a 1/3 pacing strategy. It's taking the negative split concept a little bit further. So we split the race up into thirds, roughly 7 kilometers each. The first 7 kilometers, run that at a steady pace. The second 7 kilometers, run that as a faster pace. And the final 7 kilometers at your fastest pace. Now, roughly at the 7 kilometer mark on Peterborough Street aid station, right there, use that as an indicator that you've now done the first 7Ks and to lift your pace from that point onwards. Right through to the Kilmore Street aid station, which is about the 14K mark on the second lap. And then from the Kilmore Street aid station to the finish, aim to have your fastest pace. If you find yourself relatively fresh in the final few kilometres, increase your pace some more. So basically when you get to Harper's Avenue in Hagley Park, start picking up the pace even more. Those of you that are wanting to go a sub 2 hour strategy, you need to maintain 5:41 per kilometre each and every kilometre. Now, my 1/3 pacing strategy, we start off a little bit slower at 5:50. The middle third, we're going pretty much that pace, 5:40. And then the final 7 kilometres, we're aiming for 5:30. That'll guarantee you a sub 2 hour result. Some key things for your race strategy: stay calm and steady. Focus on your cadence and a nice tall posture. Run your own race. Don't get swept up too early with other people running too fast, which is common. There's also a sub 2 hour pace group at the event, so you can utilize them to gauge your effort and use it for motivation and encouragement. Sub 1 hour 50 strategy, there's also a pace group for this. You need to hold a 5:12 per kilometre. I didn't mention, that's me there running with one of my athletes, Humps, not in the Christchurch Marathon. That was an event in Australia where I was pacing him. And that is Jason, an athlete I coach. He's always very, shall we say, entertaining and hammed it up for the camera at a half marathon down in Wanaka. And he runs about 150, hence the reason why I used his photo here. So aiming for 5:12, Utilize the pace group as well. But first 7Ks, aim for 5:20. Second 7Ks, aim for 5:10. And then the final 7Ks, aim for 5 minutes per kilometre, and you will be fine. Don't try and bank time to start with. Stick to the plan. Stick to the pace, either a fully consistent, even pace of 5:12 or my 1/3 pacing strategy. Stay strong through the aid stations and watch your pace drifting off late in the race. You need to keep the pressure on and keep pushing through. Hence the reason, the advantage of the 1/3 pacing strategy, you've saved yourself, you're fresher towards the end by starting just that little bit slower and sticking with it. Those aiming for a 140 pace, a sub 140 race, you need to hold 4:44 per kilometre pace. Stay relaxed early. Hold your rhythm. Don't go too fast, as with the other pace strategies. Use the groups if possible, but unfortunately in Christchurch, there is no 140 pace group based on what they've got on their website. So find yourself other runners trying to do the sub 140 and run with them. Focus on that last 5Ks and finish strong through that. Aim for 4:55 per kilometre for the first 7Ks. That middle 7Ks, aim for the 4:45, and then the final 7Ks, 4:35, picking up, getting faster and faster and faster as you get closer to the finish line. Sub 130 strategy. Now, this is Jess. I'm not sure what happened to her hand with the image editing there, removing the background. She does have two hands. That was her last year in the Auckland Half Marathon, where she did 1:28 and some change. Those aiming for a 1:30 or faster, you need to be doing 4:15 per kilometre. Start controlled. Strong through the middle, finish strong. 1/3 pacing strategy. When to surge, when to sit in. Stick with the concept. Unless you're physically racing, trying to beat someone, don't worry about trying to surge. Keep that to the final few kilometres. When you're trying to drop them, push through. Early on in the race, just sit on. At this level of performance, there's a good chance you're training by heart rate and or power, and having a good strategy for your target power or heart rates during the event is important. Talk to your coach and get those strategies. If you don't have a coach, I won't have time to analyze your data and give you recommendations for Christchurch, but get in touch and we can work on a strategy for your next half marathon. First 7Ks, aim for that 4:25 for the 1/3 pacing strategy. That middle 7 kilometres, 4:15 is your target, and then the final 7 aiming for 4:05, getting faster throughout. So to help you perform on race day, there's a few things I recommend. Firstly, before the event, the night before, using a self-psych form, work through, have a plan for your event, having that information going from the brain and writing that physically down on paper will help your sleep that night, because you're not thinking about things. You've already planned it, you've already got the information, put it down on paper so it can help you sleep. Helps you develop a race plan, and it increases your chance of achieving your goals. I've got a link in the description so you can download your self-psych form, print it out, and fill in all the questions, and you'll have a great race plan that will set you up for success. Now, having that race plan is one thing, being able to execute it is another. You can use techniques like mantras. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Have those sort of things. Some people like song lyrics that really resonate with them and their style of running, that they can sing to themselves in their head. Some people even sing it out loud, especially later on in the event when the fatigue starts setting in and you need a mental process to keep you pushing forward. Visualizations, important in the lead up to the race, even during the race. If you've just got the goal of finishing the half marathon, visualize that success. Replay it in your mind over and over. During training, the night before the race, the morning of the event, even during the event. If you've got a particular time goal, visualize the steps you need to do to achieve that goal and break the race down into those chunks. through to those key aid stations through the event. That is a great way of breaking it into 3 7 kilometre chunks or thereabouts. You can also break it into shorter chunks. Some people like doing 5Ks, 4 of them, and then having that last K and a bit to go that it's only a K and a bit. And so that's another strategy you can utilize. Nutrition and hydration pointers. Fuel yourself appropriately. If it's hot, you're going to need more liquid. Out on the course, they've got pure electrolyte and water. And when you go through each aid station, if there's special drinks available, and they're for the marathon runners, not for the half marathon runners, that's going to be the first table. The next tables are going to be pure electrolyte, and it's easy just to run in, grab the paper cup, squeeze the top closed so it doesn't splash all over you. Nothing worse than getting sticky electrolyte all over you. And in fact, when you squeeze the paper cups at the top, creates like a figure of eight, and it's like a nice little wee pouring spout. And so A, saves getting all over your face and over your shirt or singlet. At the next table is water. So keep yourself topped up. The electrolyte is going to be great, especially as you're pushing towards the finish line. You've got that carbohydrate on board that you can utilize to help fuel your performance. If you're following through with the pacing groups, keeping things nice and steady and consistent, I recommend having something at most aid stations. The first one, you might not be feeling ready to it. It's only 3Ks in. But if you top yourself up early, you'll need to do less later on. So fuel yourself regularly throughout the run. If it's hot or windy, you might want to have a little bit more on. If it's cold, use the electrolytes more than the water. You don't want to be cooling yourself down. But if it is hot, you can grab an electrolyte, drink that, grab some water, throw that over your head, or take your cap off if you got one, and then put the cap back on. So they're all options to help you mitigate the heat loss and stay on track for performance. Race morning. This can be a stressful time for a lot of people. Make sure you've got all your key things, your running shoes, your caps, sunglasses, your race number. Very important having your race number. At the race headquarters, they've got a bag drop, and as part of your race number, there's a label that you can leave on your bag so you can get everything you need after the event, whether you've got a tracksuit to put back on afterwards, stay warm, your wallet, your phone, if you're not running with your phone. And those that are aiming for performance, I recommend leaving the phone behind and just running comfortably without that extra baggage. Leave it in the bag. It's secure at the bag drop. Warm up, that's going to be dependent on your goal. If your goal is to run a fast time, you're going to need a thorough warm up. That way you can be running fast from the outset. Those of you with more recreational goals, a basic warm up will suffice, and use those first few kilometers to build into your event. In fact, if you're following that pacing strategy, your initial 7 kilometers is going to be pretty close to just a steady long run, which is basically your warm-up pace anyway. So don't stress too much about that. Now, every running race ever, there's never enough portaloos. There's always going to be a queue prior to the race. I recommend going to the toilet, going to the bathroom early, emptying your bladder, and that way you can make your way to the start line, being there 5 minutes beforehand, ready to go, so that when that start gun goes off at 7:30, you're on the line in the right place, in the right sort of pacing groups, whether it's the formal group or just a group of people. You'll see on the start line, it's staggered. There'll be signs indicating your expected finish time. Line up in the correct one. If you line up in the wrong one, you're either going to have to run through slower runners, or you'll have faster runners running past you, and you'll be getting in their way. It's not good for anyone. So make sure you line up with the correct start group. Some tips for the final kilometers and finishing strong. Dig deep for those last 2 to 3Ks, sort of from Harper Avenue, Hagley Park onwards in the second lap. And then when you get to the 1K to go sign, which is, funnily enough, 1K from the finish line, give it everything you've got. So it's basically where you turn off from Dean's Ave and start cutting across towards the finish line. Use the aid stations as the reference points. Like I said, roughly 7 kilometres is the Peterborough Street aid station on the first lap. That's the second aid station you'll come to. And then the fifth aid station you'll come to on Kilmore Street on the second lap. That's roughly the 14K mark. And you've got 7Ks to go from then. So if you want to smash your next half, I've got a few options there for you. I've got my project series of training plans. Project 2 hours is targeting people and giving you the skills to run 2 hours for your next half marathon. Project 150, you're targeting 150. Project 140, 130. You get the idea. So there's 10 and 20 week training plans available to optimize your performance. Now, to get on these plans, you do need to be having or have achieved certain performance criteria. If you're running currently a 209 and want to run a 130, you're not going to be able to do that in 10 weeks. So make sure you have a look at that performance criteria, sign up for the correct plan. Don't try and set or purchase the plan with your expectation being greater than your current capability. If you're wanting a strength training plan to complement your run training, my Run Strong, Build Strength for Faster, More Efficient Running is a great option. It's 12 weeks long and involves 3 gym sessions each week. And if you're looking to do the Queenstown Half Marathon, join the squad. We've got a crew going down there. It's a 24-week training plan starting the 2nd of June this year. And if you want something a bit more personalized, send me a direct message. I'm easy to find on Facebook, on Instagram at coach_ray_NZ, or just send me an email. It's probably the easiest, coachray@coachray.nz. And I've got a number of options so we can build your fitness in time for your next half marathon. All the best for those of you that are racing tomorrow. I hope you achieve your goals. Go out there, make the most of it, and have a very successful day.